Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday. It is the 21st day of February 2022. I hope you had a good weekend. Some of you, like me, are fortunate enough to have a third day of the weekend since this is President's Day and I happen to get the day off. Hopefully, if you do, enjoy it. If you don't, happy Monday. Hope you're healthy and COVID-free today, and I hope your household is also healthy and COVID-free, and that the needs of you and your household in terms of food and shelter and clothing as well as health are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, risking their lives along with the first responders, trying to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to deliver the boys, the girls, the teenagers, the adults who are the victims of sex slavery, human trafficking going on in every state in the United States and around the world, the victims of pornography and child pornography, the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, victims of rape, the victims of child molestation and pedophilia, and double curses upon the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts who traffic in this human misery. Bless the victims, and double curses on the souls of these perverts. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children are homeless in the United States right now, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So we're on the All-Star break now. The Knicks are scheduled to play a basketball game on Friday, and we'll talk more about that on Friday. But there's a lot going on in Knicks Nation. So we talked about how apparently William Wesley, Leon Rose, and James Dolan had to talk with Tom Thibodeau. I don't think I've ever heard, in all the years I've heard Thibodeau, I've never heard him mention the word development so strongly. So that signaled a change going forward. And one of the things he did say in that last press conference, and he said everything's on the table and there's going to be opportunities for people. Now, it's obvious. We don't have to go into rehearsing the disaster that this season has been for the New York Knicks and the disastrous losses they had closing into the All-Star break. To me, that's metaphorical of the season. The way they lost those 3 or 4 games at the end. Kind of metaphorical of the season. So it's obvious the current rotation doesn't work. Also, it is just as obvious that there's a lot of young players to play. Now, before we get into that, I want to start off with Tom Thibodeau. And he reminds me, if you're a parent, you will understand what I'm about to say. So, none of us, well, I wasn't perfect fathers, perfect parents. And so our children watch us when they're little. They watch us closely. Okay. And when they grow up, they emulate what we do. And sometimes they emulate our bad habits. Even if we had bad habits and we learned or bad, whatever, character traits, habits, things, and we learned from it and changed, they still remember the initial thing and will continue to think and do like that no matter what you say. I've had it myself, talking like, listen, I don't, that's not right. I told you that was wrong. I was wrong then. No matter what, they refuse to let that go. Or they'll say, you did it, so why can't I do it? Okay. And so why do I bring that up? Well, if you look at Tom Thibodeau's coaching career, you got to look at who molded him. Now, I'm only looking at his pro career, but I'm sure there were people that molded him in high school and at Salem State in college as well. But just looking at his pro career, you could kind of understand where he's at. Not saying it's right, but you can understand it. What do I mean by that? Well, he started off under Musselman in Minnesota, age 32, assistant coach Minnesota. Then he was assistant coach in San Antonio. This is before Popovich. Okay. He was assistant coach in Minnesota, in San Antonio under Jerry Tarkanian, who was well known as the University of Nevada, Las Vegas coach. But then he applied his craft in San Antonio. It didn't work out too well. He got fired, and John Lucas ended up coaching for a couple of seasons, and then he got fired. So he was an assistant under John Lucas for most of that time in San Antonio. And while he was in San Antonio, they had David Robinson, and they actually had Dennis Rodman on that team. And it was a weird situation when Dennis Rodman started really going crazy, coloring his hair and the tattoos and stuff that he didn't have in Detroit. Then John Lucas gets hired by Philadelphia, and he goes with Thibodeau. He takes Thibodeau with him. Thibodeau's assistant under Lucas 2 more seasons. But then he comes to New York. And it started in 96. And he was an assistant in New York for 7 seasons. And he was under Jeff Van Gundy most of that time. Jeff Van Gundy is a direct disciple who spent before Jeff Van Gundy coached in Houston in like 2003, all his career was in New York as an assistant, then as a head coach. And so Jeff Van Gundy come out of the Pat Riley coaching tree. That was the most influential coach on him. So you have to understand Riley. Now Riley, we know his success with the Lakers, with Magic. Now I don't know about what he did at the Lakers, but Xavier McDaniel told us in his interview with CP the franchise, he showed us what the practices in Knicks were like under Riley, and he said they would have 2-hour practices the day of a game. And of course, off days they had heavier practices. So, and he was saying how he ran Ewing into the ground. Ewing's knees were already going bad, and it was getting worse under Riley. That was Jeff Van Gundy's mentor. When Van Gundy became coach, I don't know if you all remember back then, but Ewing was well past his prime. And he was just riding Ewing to the point where the year they went to the finals, Ewing was hurt. And that's why they went to the finals, because then you started seeing more Marcus Camby. And you started seeing Latrell Sprewell. Because Van Gundy was going to ride Ewing regardless. And all his veterans at that time. He had Larry Johnson. He rolled Larry Johnson. He was a short rotation and heavy minutes. That sound familiar? So and then of course, Van Gundy quits in 19 games, in the middle of what season was that? I think that was 2001, 2002. He quits 19 games in. They were 10-9. I don't know why he quit. I didn't like that he quit like that. And I got some other things to say about Van Gundy in a second, but I didn't like that he quit like that. If y'all remember, some of y'all too young to remember that, but he just decided to resign. Okay. And then Don Chaney, who was Don Chaney, played for the Celtics. A defensive player. He was comparable to Tony Allen today, or Pat Beverly, a real defensive menace with long wingspan. And so he had been architecting the Knicks defense for a minute, at that time, behind the scenes. Very quiet man, Don Chaney was. He wasn't a yeller or a screamer. Quiet man. Methodical, intense, and defensive. That's why the Knicks were so good defensively. It was Don Chaney. Well, Don Chaney became the head coach when Jeff Van Gundy quit, and Tom Thibodeau was under Don Chaney. He was that for that half a season and the following full season. Now, his record wasn't that good, Don Chaney, but I don't blame him. At that time, you think about upper organizational circus, that was the Knicks at that time. And it started, I don't know if Jeff Van Gundy quit because of that and we didn't know what was going on, but when he quit, the whole thing, from that day, from that time, it was a circus. It was a circus. And that's why I'm very, some of y'all don't understand. The current front office is miles above what we used to be dealing with in New York. When they had, Scott Layden was the executive. He had come from Utah, and I thought he was going to be all right, but this dude was off the chain rocking crazy, right? And so I think I'm pretty sure, put it that way, part of the reason Van Gundy was unhappy was because Layden traded Patrick Ewing. Okay. And again, I don't know all the details. I don't know if they asked Ewing to take a lesser role and he refused. I don't know the details of that. I know some money issues were involved. But I don't know all the details, so I can't speak on it. But Van Gundy quit after that in the middle, like 19 games into the following season. So you have that is all of that, and then then Van Gundy goes to Houston. He takes Thibodeau with him to Houston, and then he stays in Houston for 4 seasons, and then he goes to Boston, and he's under Doc Rivers. He's under Doc Rivers. Now he's architecting the defense. Okay. And he obviously did a good job in Boston for 3 seasons as the defensive architect. Then he took over in Chicago. So what you're seeing now is a lifetime of influence from basically, 6 degrees of separation, Pat Riley to Jeff Van Gundy to Tom Thibodeau. Okay, which is why you see him ride his veterans and ride whoever his star player is and overuse guys so much. Now, that being the case, the unforgivable thing to me, now this is just me. Now y'all have all your favorite unforgivables, but this was the one. You're playing RJ Barrett in a blowout game so that he tweaked his ankle. It's fortunate for us that all he did was tweak his ankle. If he had messed his ACL up, I'd have been very upset. That was ridiculous. Okay? So I am hoping that this aspect of Thibodeau changes for his sake. Because I don't think, basketball is a business. RJ Barrett's a product. And if you mess around with that product, you're costing the Knicks money. Now it's past coaching. You messing up. So in that regard, I hope he learned his lesson. And I hope he got talked to. Okay? That was a serious thing to me. And I'm glad it was just an ankle. Like I said, if it was something worse, but it could have been, So that madness, and then he's got certain other, things. He can't deal with a point guard that's a rookie. He doesn't have very much patience for most rookies. And then, so for him, and he's changed a bit because as you know now, so he's playing Grimes. He's playing RJ. And he loves Mitchell Robinson. He loves Emmanuel Quickly. Okay. So these are young players that he is really, he really is, playing. He really is giving time to. But again, he once he throws him out there, he just rides him, right? Cause like we saw Quickly had a good game against the Nets. We still lost, but he had been shooting terribly. Now, Miles McBride has 4 minutes and 44 seconds of bad basketball and we ain't seen him since. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So now, there's definitely going to be a change. 100% chance. You're going to see a different lineup Friday. Now, this is going to be the interesting thing. To me, the interesting thing is what they do with Quentin Grimes. That's going to determine everything. Why do I say that? Quentin Grimes is not leaving the rotation. And as a matter of fact, I don't think he leaves the starting lineup. So if Quentin Grimes doesn't leave the starting lineup, that's going to be very important because RJ Barrett is going to be in the starting lineup. So you're going to have RJ Barrett and Quentin Grimes. So who's sitting? Is it Fournier? He would be the guy I would think that's going to sit in that scenario. When I say sit, he's not going to be in the starting lineup. 100% certainty Kevin Walker is not going to start at point guard. Okay, 100% certainty. Not happening. Mark my words. Not happening. Okay, so if Quentin Grimes continues to stay as a starter, which he should, and RJ Barrett comes back and he's a starter, which he is, that means the odd man out, to me, is Fournier. Because now you need a point guard. Okay, you need a point guard. So if they sit Fournier, that changes everything. That changes everything. Some of y'all gonna come up with, well, we could bring Fournier off the bench. listen to me carefully. The point here now is you have to see what you have in your young players. At the same time, you're trying to win. That's the balance they've been doing. That's how they got in this mess. Trying to win and play young and get young assets. Okay. A lot of y'all excited about this draft. Ty Washington, Ivy, whatever. We're going to go into that. I'm going to go into the draft. But listen here. It don't matter who we draft if they don't play. That's the truth. Y'all got to be real here. I hear people talking about, well, this guy could fit next to RJ and this guy could be the point guard. Y'all got to be real. I don't care. Unless you got a Magic Johnson, Luka Doncic, LeBron James type of talent coming out this year. Whoever it is ain't playing. Not playing. Unless you find out who you have in your youth and you remove some of them. That's the only way. So I'm trying to bust your bubble. I am, because I'm trying to tell you, no matter who it is, and so far, I gotta do more thorough research on this draft, which I'm gonna do this week, but I ain't seen that guy. Ivy's the closest thing I've seen to a dynamic talent coming so far out of this draft. But I gotta look closer. I admit that. I gotta look closer at it. Some of y'all get hyped every year because it's the new package and you want to unwrap the Christmas package and you think it's going to be nicer than whatever and you're ready to jump on whatever new rookie is here because it's the latest new thing. I don't look at it like that. I'm trying to see long term what these guys look like with the Knicks. Okay? And I ain't seen a guy. The guys they hyping so far, Ivy, Washington, and Jabari. And I looked at Jabari. To me, I'm not saying he's a scrub. I think he's talented. He reminds me a lot of Zaire Williams, though, from out of Stanford last year. And I thought Zaire Williams was a year away. Zaire Williams is getting nice rotational minutes with Memphis right now. He's playing really good ball, but he ain't no superstar. And Zaire Williams wasn't drafted number 1 overall. They're talking about drafting this Jabari kid number 1 overall. And I'm not saying he's not good, but like I said, in another draft, he wouldn't be that. So whoever we draft, you guys got to understand, he's probably not going to play. Okay? He's probably not going to play. Especially if Tom Thibodeau's the coach. Now, that's questionable whether he's going to be coach or not. I don't know. Depends on how the Knicks finish. So this is a very moving parts situation. But it starts this Friday. And Quentin Grimes is the linchpin. If Quentin Grimes starts, Fournier's out. And if Fournier is out, and you already know Kemba Walker's out, the question then becomes, is he going to start Alec Burks at the point guard? Okay. And when I say out, I mean, I'm on the bench because now you got Cam Reddish, and let's take a look at this now. Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims is 23. Miles McBride is 21. Quentin Grimes is 21. Obi Toppin is 23. In a week, he's going to be 24. Emmanuel Quickley is 21. Well, Emmanuel Quickley, 22. Samanchik. Remember him? Samanchik. He's just turned 22. Cam Reddish is 21. RJ Barrett is 21. Mitchell Robinson is 23. In April, he's going to be 24. Okay. Those are the kids. And you got to find out what you got. You got a contract problem with Mitchell Robinson. You did not trade him for something at the trade deadline. Teams were asking for him and you said no, yet you haven't signed him. I don't know what's going to happen, but if they let Mitchell Robinson walk for nothing, I would be surprised. The Don ain't that stupid. Okay. So I'm going to think they're probably going to sign him or he's going to be signed and traded in the offseason. And I hope they keep him. And why do I hope they keep him? Again, one of the hallmarks of long-term sustainable winning is drafting players and developing your players and then bringing them forward into your system. That's one of the hallmarks of long-term sustainable winning. We drafted Mitchell Robinson. We invested 4 years in Mitchell Robinson. Okay. You don't want to just trade him because the next NBA 2K guy has a higher rating. It don't work like that. Okay. So, let's see what happens this off season. That's where we're dealing with there. RJ Barrett's a fixture. We know that. Cam, we got to find out what we have in Cam. Now, some of you mentioned, and I noticed that Tom Thibodeau mentioned all kind of young players. He did not mention 3 guys. He didn't mention Jericho Sims. He didn't mention Cam Reddish, and he didn't mention Deuce McBride. And he talked this thing about you have to earn your spot. I don't think he's talking about Deuce and Jericho when he said that. He's talking about Cam. And why do I say that? Because when they got Cam in the trade and the media was asking him about Cam, he said he's got to earn it. He used the same words. He said he got to earn it. The same words. I'm not just going to give minutes away. You got to earn it. We got to find out what this kid is. Okay? And I think that's a tug of war between him and the front office. And he will lose that. Because we got to find out what this kid is about. Okay? We can't let him flounder on the bench. So that's Cam. Luka has been hurt. He's a two-way contract. So it's not like we need to rush to find out what we got in him. He's going to be in the G League next year probably. So we ain't worried about Luka. Both him and Jericho are two-way contracts. So we're in no rush for these two guys. We don't have to worry about them right now. But you do have decisions to make with Cam Reddish. You have decisions to make with Miles McBride in terms of Miles is only on a 2-year deal. And many of y'all don't understand that. He could have signed a 4-year deal like Mitchell Robinson did. They were drafted in the same position. But he didn't. He chose a 2. And I believe he's chosen because he's confident in his abilities. You got to find out what you have. You need a point guard. You don't even know what you got yet. He hasn't played any real significant time, except in the G League, right? So I really want him to start, but we'll see what happens. Then you also got Emmanuel Quickly, who Tibbs seems to think is a point guard when he's not. And so there's that. Then, of course, there's Obi. Obi wins the dunk contest, right? Okay. He came up with some creative dunks though. He did. I saw the highlights of it. You only get but so much imagination in the dunk contest. It's going to be more about I call it testosterone, the power of a dude that gets way over the rim and flushes it, and then does it with a class or style of some sort. It don't have to be an original because to me, I think we've seen everything. But Obi came up with a couple of dunks that nobody has seen before. They weren't the flushiest, power ones, but just to be able to put it behind your back and jumping over somebody and then dunk it. Oh, that's pretty good, man. And throwing it off the backboard too and put it between your legs. And then he earned that number 1, man. They dogged him because he's from New York, but he got the number. He earned it. But Obi got to see some real minutes on this team, which brings me to Julius Randle. Julius Randle is being run into the ground. We're watching it. I realized it just recently, in just a couple of weeks. When I saw him jogging back and Jeff Van Gundy talked about him jogging back, I thought to myself, wait, you know what? Homie's conserving his energy. He's tired. Yeah, he's tired. Last year, in the second half of the season, he started coming on and getting better. And then again, this is as some of you know, this is a Thibodeau trait. He'll start off real good with a team, and then he'll wear them out. Okay, he'll wear them out. Tom Thibodeau is good for that. He's that guy you want to coach a team that's a veteran team and needs to just be pushed over the top. A veteran team with a couple of young guys, and he could push you over the top. Tight rotation, push these veterans hard, But a young team that's developing, I don't know. So, but I do say, and I did a video on it a few weeks ago, if they do force him to play the young players, if he is forced to start a Deuce McBride and start a a Grimes, and then have Cam Reddish in the rotation, and then you're bringing D Rose back to also mentor these guys as well as help them as well, I think you're going to see his best coaching job because the way he's going to crack the whip on these guys on this short term is going to be good for them. Okay, and so that's actually going to be good. It wouldn't be good long term, but for now, it's really good. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Now, if the Knicks finish the season around the play-in, if they finish 500 and they're in the play-in, I think Thibodeau starts next year. He comes back next year. If he plays the kids also and they're just disastrous, he may come back, he may not, but then they're going to get rid of a lot of these kids, and then you're looking at your draft. And it's not going to be I don't think you're looking at point guard unless, like I said, I got to look at him close, but I don't see a generational point guard talent out there. They're good point guards, I'm sure, in draft. So don't get all in your feelings about that. But I'm just saying, I don't see a Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, John Morant type point guard out there this year. I don't see that. But maybe I'm wrong, and I got to do more research. So I'm going to do my research, and we'll see. Like I said, I like the kid Ivy from what I've seen. I like his moxie. I like his athleticism. He's really a two guard though. He's like a two guard at 6'4", and you already got Grimes. See, this is the thing. Also, you got to remember, people keep saying, well, I can see this guy playing next to RJ, or I can see this guy as the point guard. Who's sitting? You going to sit RJ? You going to sit Grimes? You going to sit Cam? What you talking about? See, people don't think about this. They get all hype and starry-eyed about some of these young guys that never played in the NBA. And you forget what you have already. Anyway, and then somebody looking like this kid from Gonzaga, the rookie guy, Holmgren, I think his name is, he's in Gonzaga, 7-foot kid, skinny kid. He's all right. I mean, but you got Mitchell Robinson. He ain't playing in front of Mitchell Robinson. Not only that, he's a rookie center. You're going to get fouled out a lot. You're going to foul out a lot. That's rookie centers do that. Okay. Remember Wiseman? Wiseman got all world talent, but we ain't seen him yet. I don't even know what's going on with him. I was really shocked that we ain't seen him yet in Golden State. I don't know what's going on. I heard him on a trade block a couple times, but see, that guy to me is all world talent, man. But he only played a few games for Memphis, so we didn't know if it was just flash in the pan against scrubs he was playing or what. So we still don't know. But from what I've seen, this kid looks like the real deal, but we ain't seen him. So you gotta be cool when you are evaluating these guys. So as far as the Knicks, this is a year to me where you're looking for the best player available. I don't always look like that. Last year I was looking for wings because the draft last year was chock full of high quality wings. I ain't seen that many good wings in a minute in the draft. So it was chock full of high quality wings. That's why we ended up with Grimes. We could have ended up with the kid from Virginia. We could have ended up with Duarte. There was a whole bunch of really good wings. Moses Moody, Kuminga. There's a whole bunch of really good wings in the draft last year. Really good ones. Even like Franz Wagner ends up being pretty good too. And he's a wing. So that was last year. This year is not like that. So you got to get the best player available. So I don't even know what would be. It might be a point guard, or 2 or 3, a center, or 4. But it doesn't matter. They probably won't play. Okay? They probably won't play. Unless they're so good. They dynamite in the camp. They dynamite in the summer league. They dynamite in practice. They play tight defense because, you got Tom Thibodeau. So it's going to have to be like that. But Grimes is the key here. If Grimes continues to start, which he should, that's going to set a trend. And you're going to see some changes. Okay? You're going to see some changes. That would mean Fournier and Walker are out. The key thing there then is Alec Burks. D Rose is going to play and he's going to, I don't know if he's going to start. Some of y'all calling for him to start. Y'all really ain't got it yet. He's out because he hurt his ankle, right? He's 33. Last year he was running out of gas and he was breaking down because he was playing too many minutes to close the season because Thibodeau replaced Elfrid Payton and gave D Rose all of those minutes. You can't overrun this kid. Okay? He's a guy that should be in the second unit in Mobb Deep with Obi Toppin and with Cam Reddish, hopefully, and Emmanuel Quickley if he's not starting. If Emmanuel Quickley is not starting, I don't know. Deuce McBride, whatever. But that's where you want D Rose. And you want him closing the fourth quarter. That's where you want to use D Rose. You don't want him starting and playing 35, 40 minutes a game. You want him coming off the bench with Mobb Deep, and then in the fourth quarter, you close with him. That's how you do that, okay? But not starting. And I don't think Tibbs is going to do that. With all of this drama, with the vets getting too many minutes, and him having been talked to by Dolan, I don't think he's starting Derrick Rose at the point. I'll be surprised. But we're going to see. He might start Alec Burks, though. So we're going to see what happens. But Quentin Grimes is going to be a key here. Really, you're going to have Quentin Grimes and RJ on the wing. You're going to have Mitchell Robinson, and you're going to have Julius Randle. We're going to see what other changes happen after that. But it's going to be interesting. And it's going to start Friday against Miami. So we're going to see. It's going to be very interesting. Now about Jeff Van Gundy, real quick. So having mentored Tom Thibodeau, this fool, first of all, he was rebuking Thibodeau for doing the things that he taught Thibodeau to do. And he never mentioned that while he was on national TV. That's number one. Then number two, he said the roster has no talent. Out. Anyway, he talked like a guy that belonged on some talk show that don't really watch basketball, just want headlines. You know, it's like I saw some guy quote, Miles McBride is good. He just needs to work on his defense. And I was like, what are you talking? Like, seriously? He needs to work on his defense. That's like saying Halle Berry needs to work on her figure. I mean, seriously? Anyway, some people say some crazy things, but Jeff Van Gundy was being hypocritical there to me. He's being a hypocrite, man. Having quit like the 19 games, he should stay in the booth. I don't even want him coaching the Knicks. I know some of y'all like him coaching the Knicks. I don't want him. Just for that. I remember, see, some of y'all always harping on Dolan because you're angry at Dolan. I'm angry at Jeff Van Gundy. He quit on us in December. I don't like that. Go someplace else. Kenny Atkinson, even Mark Jackson, if they wasn't blackballing him, fine. But just on general principle, Jeff Van Gundy got to walk, man. Quit on us like that. And then you're going to break on Tibbs after Tibbs doing what Jeff Van Gundy taught him. Anyway, Friday is going to be interesting. Like I said, Grimes is the key here. I want to see what they do at point guard, though. Is he going to start Burks? Or is he going to start quickly? Or is he going to start McBride? Is McBride going to be in the rotation? I think he has to be in the rotation. He has to be. Because you got to find out what you got. You're talking about the need of a point guard. Now, I know they got their eye on Jalen Brunson. But a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. We don't even know if we got Jalen Brunson unless they got some backroom deal already collected. And that's possible too. But you got to see what you have in Deuce McBride. So hopefully we do. Anyway, if they play, I'm going to tell you something. If they play Deuce McBride with Grimes and RJ as the starting right there in the starting unit, the Knicks going to win some games. You're going to see them go on the street. I'm not going to say how many, but they're going to win some games, man. On the road or not. Okay? So let's see what happens. Anyway, y'all enjoy the rest of your Monday. Be safe out there. Enjoy it. Those of you home like me, be safe out there. I still got some work I got to do, but anyway, enjoy. Be safe. Stay healthy. Shalom.